בוקר טוב וברוכים הבאים לכנס על אברהם יהושע אשל, הגות ודרך במבחן הזמן. היה לנו אתמול יום מרתק במכון שכטר למדעי היהדות, ואני מקווה ומאחל לכולנו שלנו יומיים מעניינים פורים כאן במכון ון ליר בירושלים, היום ומחר. מדובר בכנס על השל. ונכון, זה כנס אקדמי, ואנשים חקרו וטרחו וניתחו, התווכחו אתמול, התווכחו גם מחר, אבל אין דבר שאני חושב שאין אישיות שהיא מעבר לעניין של הדיון האקדמי מאשר השל. ולכן יש לנו היום הפתעה. כי מה יותר מאשר כנס על השל משל להתחיל את הבוקר בשירה? אתם מסכימים איתי? אני לא יודע. אם יש התנגדות, אז אפשר להגיד שמתנגדים. אוקיי. אז לכן, לכבוד לי, להזמין את הזמרת של ירושלים, שולי נתן, לפתוח את הבוקר בשיר. שולי היא גם חברת קהילת הוד והדר של התנועה המסורתית בישראל בכפר סבא.
בוקר טוב, וגם דפנה תעיד שאני נמצאת פה לעתים קרובות בפרשת השבוע בימי ראשון. אז בזכות מלאה. אני פשוט רוצה לנדב משהו שאני חושבת שהוא קרוב לרוחו של אברהם השל. כל מי שמכיר יכול להצטרף אליי לפזמון החוזר, וגם מי שלא מכיר, זה לא מסובך. אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. במקום שבו מקננת שנאה, תן לי לזרוע אהבה. במקום שבו אלבון סליחה, במקום שבו חושך אור, במקום שבו עצב שמחה, אדון העולם נסו איתי. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. עשה שלא אתאווה כל כך להיות מנוחם אלא מנחם. עשה שלא אתאווה כל כך להיות מובן אלא מבין. עשה שלא אתאווה כל כך להיות אהוב אלא אוהב. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אלוהים תן לי את השלווה להשלים עם שאיני יכול לשנות. אנא תן לי את אומץ הלב לשנות דברים שביכולתי, ואנא תן לי את החוכמה להבדיל בין אלה לבין אלה. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך. אנא אלי, אנא אלי, עשה אותי כלי לשליחותך.
שותפים רבים לכנס הזה. היוזמה באה מהתנועה המסורתית בישראל, ויחד חברו אוניברסיטת חיפה, מכון שכטר, זה אנחנו כבר יודעים, כיוונים, אוניברסיטת תל אביב, הסמינר התיאולוגי בניו יורק, JTS, וכמובן מכון ונדיר בירושלים, ואוניברסיטת גתה בפרנקפורט המיין. It is my pleasure and honor to ask Professor Kריסטיאן ויזה, Professor of Jewish Thought and Philosophy of the Goethe University, Frankfurt am Main, to greet us for the conference. Please.
Dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, after this wonderful singing, you will have to do it with my voice. I can't sing, but I will certainly do some praising as well. It is my great privilege to welcome you this morning to the second day of our conference, and I know it will be a long day that promises to offer a wealth of papers presenting a variety of perspectives on Abraham Heschel's thought, and I won't therefore keep you too long with my introductory remarks. Basically, what I would like to do and what I would like to emphasize is the great honor and joy it means to me to be among the co-organizers of an event that brings one of the foremost Jewish thinkers of the 20th century to Jerusalem. And I also have to admit that this conference is in many ways a dream fulfilled. I remember it has been 30 years now that I encountered Heschel's thought while studying theology at the University of Tübingen, and it was an encounter that thoroughly changed my path of thinking about religion, about politics, directing me towards Jewish intellectual history and Jewish thought, and prompting me to study at the Hebrew University a few years later. And I vividly remember the sense of fascination when first reading God in Search of Man at a time when Jewish-Christian dialogue in Germany was in its very initial stages. A book that challenged much of what my theological teachers had to say about Judaism and religion in general, and that gave me guidance in my own theological, philosophical, and political search. What intrigued me then continues to be what I value today, and what has become an essential element of my thinking and teaching as a non-Jewish scholar of Jewish thought. Heschel's crucial idea of religion being God's question and man's response, his plea for an ethics of awe and of human responsibility for the preciousness and dignity of life, his grounding of ethics in the concept of man's being created in the image of God, his insistence on a sense of mystery that is profoundly linked to political awareness and action, his emphasis on God's passionate contradiction against injustice, violence, and indifference towards suffering. All this being strongly relevant for our contemporary religious, social, and political debates, whether they take place in Europe, in the US, or in Israel. And many other texts since then have become part of my personal canon, including No Religion is an Island, with its inspiring accent on the polyphony of truth, and many others of Heschel's books and essays. And it is for many years that I had actually been thinking of organizing a larger conference devoted to Heschel in Germany. But I'm particularly delighted that it came true in Jerusalem. And for this, I would like to thank most sincerely to the Van Leer Institute, especially to Naftali Rothenberg, to Gabriel Motzkin, Daphne Schreiber, and Shira Karagila, who responded enthusiastically when the idea of having this conference was born, as I remember, in a cafe in Emek Ephraim, in a conversation I had with my doctoral student Yitzhak Hess, to whom I would like to thank as well. And since then the project has grown impressively, and I think it is on behalf of all of us when I express my gratitude to all those who have done the actual work on the ground, including the organizers at Van Leer, the academic steering committee, and all the other institutions involved. For the Martin Buber Chair in Jewish Thought and Philosophy, which I hold in Frankfurt am Main, it seems a natural choice to be involved in this conference. And not only because of the affinities between Buber and Heschel, which Alexander Evenchen and Ephraim Meir have pointed out in their fine comparative analysis. Susanna Heschel will include thoughts about her father's experience in Germany in her keynote lecture tomorrow. And Edward Kaplan already mentioned Abraham Joshua Heschel's activities in Frankfurt in the 1930s after Buber's emigration to Palestine, hinting at that breathtaking passage, part of which was originally phrased in a lecture delivered to the Quakers in Frankfurt. It later appeared in the chapter The Hiding of God in Man is Not Alone, sharpened even more by the experience of unspeakable crimes. And I'm quoting it here because I think that what it conveys about the 20th century, about German history, is a truth from which there is no escape, not for my students in Frankfurt and not for myself. For us, contemporaries and survivors of history's most terrible horrors, it is impossible to meditate about the compassion of God without asking, where is God? Emblazoned over the gates of the world in which we live is the escutcheon of the demons. The mark of Cain on the face of man has come to overshadow the likeness of God. There has never been so much distress, agony, and terror. Fellow men have turned out to be evil spirits, monstrous and weird. Does not history look like a stage for the dance of might and evil, with man's wits too feeble to separate the two, and God either directing the play or indifferent to it? For me, this passage, with its prophetic character, with its language that gives voice to an unspeakable experience, embodies what can never be forgotten, at the same time being a reminder and a warning concerning humankind's moral obligation in the present. And with these words in mind, the challenge Abraham Joshua Heschel thought has posed to me for decades, and the inspiration and obligation it entails, becomes even more significant. And I'm therefore very grateful for the opportunity to be part of the discussions during these 3 days with so many fine scholars and in the presence of Susanna Heschel. What remains is to wish all of us a rewarding conference with rich and meaningful encounters, conversations, and discussions. Thank you very much.